Okay, let's do this. Welcome, PittNUG members. Our webinar today is by a company called Ramp Logan. Logan will show you how their product can help your expense management and spend control. So Logan, go ahead, take it away. And I will be on mute. And so if you need me, though, I'll be here.
Awesome. Rhonda, thank you so much for the introduction. And I want to thank Jim. I think he just hopped on for setting this up for us. Very
Logan.
awesome. I'm excited to chat today. I want to make this valuable for the folks who are here. So please be selfish. If you see anything that's interesting, please let me know. If you have any questions, I want this to be conversational. I've been super impressed with Rhonda and Jim, who are the people I know here, but I hope that you learned something today that might help your clients, your firm, or your company. I believe that slides are a slow death. So I am only going to share one or two, I promise. And the bulk of our call today is going to be actually showing you Ramp. And so to kick it off, what Ramp is a financial automation platform where you can do all non-payroll expenses in a single place. Today, I really am just going to focus on expense management. So thinking about how can we automate the expense report? How can we implement controls to help your company or your firm better control spend, restrict spend when it shouldn't be happening, get all the accounting information back into NetSuite or any other ledger that you're using efficiently. And Jim, I don't know if I can put you on the spot here, but anything that from our conversations that you think would be most valuable to call out today, or maybe if you want to give Ramp a plug, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, we've been talking to Logan for a little over 2 months now, as working with many of you guys on the call today, just exploring other options in addition to some of the main tools that a lot of people are using. And I don't want to badmouth anyone, but who all the big expense management players are, like Concur and some of the other ones like that. One of the benefits that that Ramp has, and that what really attracted us to them and that we wanted to introduce to all you guys was, it's finally another expense management system that also had the travel component. So Logan can touch on that as well. And, oftentimes we have other ones that people are using, like, why is it escaping me off the top of my head? Expensify, that doesn't actually have the travel component. So Ramp has that. Another thing I really liked and that drew us to Ramp was how easy it is to set up and maintain virtual cards. So you can touch about that, like how you can set up a virtual card just for like a 2-week trip, and then boom, it's gone. Like the employee can no longer use it after that. So those two things alone, I think, on top of just like the overall how it works and the ease of the integration with NetSuite, would be great.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah.
Just two people commented, two clients. One they're both currently using Ramp. One is using it primarily for corporate cards, and the other client is they said they launched it in October 2024 and they love it. So there you go, 2 plugs.
Awesome, Max, Barbara, it's great to hear. Please support me if you have anything that you want to plug. I think it's best to learn from your peers. I know I'm somewhat of an outsider. I'm not an accountant and I don't live in Pittsburgh, but I'm super grateful to be part of this group today. So I just want to share 1 second on me. My role here at Ramp is I'm a strategic channel partner manager. So I've partnered specifically with GYF. Jim is my main point of contact there. And my main goal is to support accountants. So my whole career has been built around supporting accountants. So I spent 4 years at a Ramp competitor called Brex, where I was one of the first 50 employees. And then I went and helped build an accounting software after that. I was a Ramp partner before I actually joined Ramp. So I've been on the other side of the conversation. I can empathize with the change management aspect, or some of the trust it takes for you to recommend a vendor, whether to your own company or to a company that you support. So here's a couple of pictures. We just had a baby a few months, or I guess it's been 10 months now. He's
so
the best.
cute.
His name's Malcolm. And then Yeah, he had a helmet, so this was him getting his helmet taken off and then
Yeah.
measuring their head, and then here's my wife Lexi. So we've been
Oh.
married for a couple years. I'm from Utah, so the most Utah thing about me is me and my wife had a baby like 10 months after we getting married. So I don't know if y'all are attuned to the Utah stereotypes, but we unfortunately fall into one of them. As I mentioned, Ramp, we do all non-payroll expenses. So this is a little bit about Ramp. We're relatively new in the space, but as Barbara and Max and Jim can attest, like we're starting to grow a lot of traction. We're growing quickly. We're the fastest growing financial company over the last 5 years. And so if you haven't heard of us yet, I hope that you'll start to hear more about us. I think these awards are great, but at the end of the day, this bottom half is most important. It's who we support, the companies who are actually finding value in our products. And so the first question often is like, who's this solution for? It really, like our first customer was a farm. So like, traditional business, middle market, small businesses. But then we also support like Shopify, CBRE, some of other companies that have 30,000 plus employees. So all across the board are companies that can find benefit in Ramp. This might seem like a familiar stack that you might see for like in your day to day, where on one end you have two sources of truth. One is the HR platform where all the employee data lives. On the other side is the accounting. So NetSuite, Sage, QuickBooks. I know this is a NetSuite user group, so I'll focus mostly on NetSuite. On the NetSuite side, we want all that information to flow in. This might look like, in a normal business, they might have different solutions for corporate cards, expense management and travel, and AP. So what that means is multiple integrations to manage. There might be an integration that breaks along the way. There's multiple logins, multiple trial balances, multiple reporting schedules for each one of these platforms. And so the thought behind Ramp is being able to consolidate that all into a single place. Much of our staff actually worked at NetSuite as engineers before they joined Ramp. And so the integration that we have with NetSuite was custom built with NetSuite. And we're pulling in this information, the chart of accounts from NetSuite in real time. I'll show you what this looks like and kind of show you some of the products that Jim talked about at the beginning later on. But this is where we fall in. We can consolidate and connect with all the platforms you're already using. So HR and your bank, as well as your accounting ERP, and then your tools like Outlook or Slack, like Lyft, Amazon, Gmail, Outlook, all can connect to Ramp to create a zero touch expense report. This is the inverse of a zero touch expense report. This might resonate with some folks here. It resonates with me in a previous life where, I was keeping a envelope of receipts, pushing that into my company's expense management, trying to get it in the right window, like I felt the pain as the end user, and I can only imagine what the accounting team felt. This is a manual process where you're digitizing, you're coding transactions month after month. And so with Ramp, sorry, Kara, I'm trying to manage chat at the same time, but I'll get to the
I'll
questions
help
first.
you. I can help with the questions if you want, and I'll just interrupt. So she says, how do you connect with NetSuite? You need a web services license.
Well, okay, we'll go into that here in a second, but this is the current process, right? Like for reimbursements, you're essentially having employees lend money to the employer. And then for the accounts, it's just a super manual process month after month. You guys are too smart, or your accounts are too smart to have to chase people for receipts and categorize the same transactions month after month. So how do we do it on the expense report side? There are 3 different ways. So say me and Jim go out to a sporting event. I swipe my Ramp card. I immediately get a text message from Ramp that says, hey, looks like you just spent $40 on hot dogs. Upload a picture of your receipt. I snap a picture. And then the next message I get from Ramp is, what was this transaction for? So this is what this looks like in real time. So get a notification. This is for what it looks like in the app, but it's very much the same where over text. So we might require our cardholders to provide a category or department. So we can require that from our cardholders. Our data shows that when a company implements Ramp, their receipt and memo compliance increased by 80%. I don't know if Max or Kara have had, or not Kara, I forget who the other person was that was using Ramp, have experienced that when implementing Ramp, but that's the goal here is we want to make it easy on your team and your accountants to get all this information in, and then we'll talk about how to get that information actually into NetSuite in a straightforward integration here in a second. Here's some actual receipts that Ramp was able to match. So and then when you upload these transactions or upload these receipts, if it doesn't match to a transaction, we'll actually create a draft reimbursement. So the whole expense management process can be done on the text message function on your employees' phones, or they're welcome to use the app. I'm hopping into what Ramp actually looks like here. And so I think I was kicked out of the NetSuite, so I'll come right back into. I don't know if your employees are the same as me, but I've never read any of my company's expense policies. And I consider myself a good employee too. So what Ramp does is we can implement the expense policy via software. We're enforcing the expense policy. So like we can restrict what folks spend on, and we can also prompt them, like we saw before, to upload the information that we need to complete the accounting at the end of the month. What this looks like. So before we saw that your employees are receiving a text message for the receipt and the memo, but we could come in here and say, hey, we actually need the NetSuite department and the customer that this spend was associated with. So the next text message that your folks might see after, hey, where's the receipt, where's the memo, is, what department or location is this for? Same functionality exists for reimbursements, mileage, all of that as well. Full approval process after a transaction happens, but showing you kind of what Jim was talking about, where we can dictate more dimensions or like implement more controls just with a couple of clicks. So on Ramp, everyone gets a nice metal card. We're on the Visa card network, so you can spend wherever Visa is accepted. And then we offer 1.5% cash back for all transactions. The slick thing is we have unlimited virtual cards. And so these virtual cards actually tie into the physical card. You can think of these virtual cards more like budgets. So for example, I'll actually show you my own Ramp instance. This is what Ramp looks like for me as a user. I've got my physical card over here. My physical card actually has $0 attached to it. And so when you think about some of your businesses, if they're using American Express or a bank card, these are great products, but they have no controls. So, a business owner might be lending, or giving a card out to somebody that's tied to their personal credit, tied to the business, and it's lacking some of these controls. Where for me, I have a physical card, $0 limit, but I have all these different budgets or funds that are available to me. So what happens is each of these funds have different rules. And you might think, okay, this might be a little complicated, but when we have this auto match function where if I swipe my card at a coffee shop, it's going to automatically map to my coffee budget. say, hey, actually, this wasn't for my coffee budget. It was like me taking, Max or Jim out to coffee. And so then it'll automatically map to, the executive partner summit where I'm going to take some partners out. So what this looks like from an admin side, like how do we create these funds? How do we create these controls that are going to make our accounting easier? And so let's just say this is a test budget for $1,000. We can support multi-currency, multi-entity, all with our NetSuite integration. We can adjust how this budget is structured on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Then here's the submission policy that we went over before, where we want, receipts, memos in the category for each transaction. Since I'm going to go out to Pittsburgh and take a couple of you guys out to coffee, my manager might say, hey, I know Logan's a huge March Madness fan. We're going to block gambling from his card. So if I try and swipe at something, gambling related, my card will get automatically declined. We can also say, hey, this card is really only for travel expenses. So we're going to say, hey, like we just want travel, airlines, and taxis or something. Or we can even just do it on a merchant basis. This is super popular with nonprofits where, someone might be given a card, a volunteer, or, it might be a shared card amongst all the volunteers. We only want this card to be used at Walmart. Like Jim mentioned, hey, we can say, this card is going to auto lock after the trip is over. There's no reason for me to access this budget after my trip is done. And this parlays into the actual NetSuite integration. So we have custom integration with NetSuite that we co-built with them. We're pulling in the chart of accounts in real time. So what that means is there's a change to a vendor or a department that's going to be immediately reflected in Ramp. Since we're integrating with your HR platform, companies, org structure. So like we can require managers to approve transactions, for example, that org structure comes in automatically. It also means we can push vendor information. So like we create a new vendor within Ramp, we can push that vendor into NetSuite. For this card, let's say, hey, this card is for travel or, travel expenses. We're just going to map all the transactions to this card to this expense account. We mark things as billable. Again, like any dimension, even custom dimensions that you're tracking in NetSuite can map into Ramp, and we can map these transactions accordingly. As your companies transact, whether on Ramp's credit card, our reimbursements, or even like our bill pay functionality, all these transactions come into this accounting tab. If we jump into one of these transactions, like let's look at this St. Regis, you'll see all the different things that we can map. So not only are we mapping, but we're also like proactively flagging when things are out of policy. So you can set up custom policy rules where it might be, hey, like we just want to be flagged when anyone spends on alcohol or does excessive tipping. So you can say, hey, someone gives over 25% tip, I want to know about it. So all the different dimensions here, and then we might say, hey, this is going to be lodging. We're going to map this to travel expenses, but we can create a rule where from here on out, anytime that we're transacting with this merchant, it's automatically going to map to this category, this location, again, any dimension. So the idea here is the more that you use Ramp, the more time Ramp is saving you. Some really slick NetSuite only features is we can upload your amortization templates and use these against, any of these transactions. We can also come in here and split transactions. So, say like an Amazon transaction that has, it might be partly for expenses, it might be for, COGS or anything like that. We can map transactions to multiple expense categories. Again, like you guys are way too talented, or your accountants are too talented to be chasing people for receipts and memos. So with this, we can come in here and see there's 105 transactions where we're waiting for the cardholder. We can say, hey, let's send a reminder to these folks. They'll receive a push notification, or if they're using Outlook or Teams, like they'll receive a notification there. So less follow up on your accounting teams, and like better reporting, better like information back into the accounting. When we have all the information, the approvals, like the transactions gone through whatever approval structure you need, we're able to sync this into NetSuite. So you're able to review these transactions, check one more time. We can configure what you see right here. And once it's ready, we can sync to NetSuite. The transaction with all the detail, the receipt, the memo, the cardholder, all that information is directly available in NetSuite. And then it can also tie back into Ramp to see the transaction information. There's a ton of information. We're really just scratching the surface. But I know it's been 20 minutes of me talking with you. And so I want to just kind of put a pin in it right here and see if there's any questions or any feedback, or like any areas where like, holy crap, this could be really beneficial for me.
We did have the chat area was very busy. So that was good.
Awesome.
A couple people wanted to know, or someone wanted to know about the mileage rates, that the IRS rates, are they automatically updated, or is it set up by the admin person?
Yeah, such a good question. It defaults to the IRS minimum, but you can adjust that. I'll actually show you what this looks like. So here's my own Ramp card, Ramp instance. I do this all the time whenever I drive. So this is for mileage. I'll put in my home address. And then let's say I'm going to the Salt Lake City airport, round trip, 53.53 miles. And then it does we do a 70 cents, but you can adjust this. We can deduct the commute distance. My typical commute is whatever, memo, trip, all that. So yeah, it's totally configurable.
That's nice. And then Anne asked, is the vendor Ramp, or does it break down each charge on the card to an individual vendor like Delta Airlines, Starbucks, etc.?
Yeah. So in your NetSuite, like you'll see the actual vendor. It won't, like the vendor won't just show up as Ramp. You'll see Delta or, like your NetSuite subscription or anything like that.
And then is there a monthly recurring transaction? Does that require approval? Oh, if there is a monthly.
That's something else that's totally configurable. If you want to have it go through an approval process every time, that's fine. Or you can set it to say, hey, we transact with this merchant every month. There'll be a portion in your Ramp instance to say, hey, like we don't need to approve this every time.
Yeah. Now remember, guys, this is just kind of like a high level, show you what it could do, but definitely can have a demo for you specifically, your company set up. It's more just to let you know what's out there and how it's done, but we can help set it up, or Logan, I know he put his information out there, whatever's easiest. But yeah, definitely if you're interested and want to learn more, or any questions. So
that's a great point, Rhonda. We have, if your company were to be interested, or if like you want to learn more, you can reach out to me. We have a team that's dedicated to like NetSuite clients. A lot of them are former CPAs, where your salesperson would actually be a CPA, where they would help set up your client. You'd have a full implementation where you have someone at Ramp help migrate your cards, your vendors, set up the NetSuite integration, help set up the policy. So we try to take a very hands-on approach for implementation. But if you're interested, we can always reach out and like go into a more depth, like, just exploratory demo, just me and whoever's interested.
Okay, normally, how long would an implementation take for a client to start effectively using RAM? Is one question.
Yeah, I mean, I could give my answer, but I actually love to hear from the current ramp users. Is there like
Good.
maybe you can with the good, the bad, and the ugly on your y'all's implementation?
Oh, here it goes. Barb did say something. Barb, she said her implementation was excellent. RAM folks walked through every step. They also do staff training. And then they want your contact information, which I think you put at the beginning, but we definitely follow up. It's recorded. We're going to post it on our PittNUG website, but and even if you reach out to me, I can just send it to you, because I probably won't post the webinar today. Hopefully tomorrow, and the email may go out. I'm working on the PittNUG invite, so that'll probably go out first, and then our PittNUG meeting invite in March. But yeah, I mean, just let me know.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll add one thing there is Jim and GYF are rank partners. So if you go through GYF, first of all, you'll get waived implementation fees. So Ramp, to get that onboarding support, oftentimes folks are paying. I don't know, Barbara, if you had to pay, like it kind of depends on some of the complexity. But when going through GYF, your implementation is waived. You're guaranteed a 1.5% cash back. And you're also given a $500 bonus for even trying ramp. So there are some benefits to go through GYF, and GYF is a great partner. They help with the implementation. They've been very hands-on with the couple of clients that they've passed through. So I'm just a plug for GYF.
thanks.
Thanks, Logan.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Logan, you did a great job.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Excellent. So
Appreciate it.
we'll wrap this up. And like I said, for a follow-up email, I'll let you know when it's posted. And I think that's it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Logan. See you.